right, Foxpack, dim the lanterns, listen for footsteps in the hall, and maybe, just maybe, don't trust that scratching sound coming from inside the walls, because today we're diving into a gothic mystery that starts in the most dramatic way possible. You wake up in a crypt as a ghost, and that's where Detective from the Crypt begins. This is a Victorian-style point-and-click mystery developed and published by BOV, and it leans heavily into classic adventure game design. Puzzles, exploration, clues, and a slow-burn narrative that unfolds piece by piece. But the big question is, does this supernatural detective story deliver a satisfying mystery, or does it get lost wandering its own haunted halls? Let's dig in. Right from the start, Detective from the Crypt sets its tone. You play as Jane, who awakens in a family crypt with no memory of what happened. She quickly realizes she's no longer alive, and that something terrible has occurred, not just to her but to her entire family. This is immediately intriguing. The game doesn't waste time setting up its premise. You're thrown into the mystery and asked to start investigating right away. That sense of curiosity drives the entire experience. What makes this setup particularly effective is that the game doesn't rely on shock value. Instead, it builds intrigue through atmosphere. The environments are quiet. The pacing is deliberate. You're encouraged to explore, observe, and piece things together. And that's really the core of Detective from the Crypt. It's all about investigation. Gameplay follows the traditional point-and-click adventure structure. You move between locations, interact with objects, collect clues, and solve puzzles that unlock new areas or reveal new information. If you've played classic adventure games, the structure will feel familiar. But there's a twist that gives the game a bit more identity: the laboratory. Instead of simply collecting items and using them elsewhere, you bring evidence back to a lab where you analyze it. This adds an extra layer to the detective theme. You're not just clicking randomly, you're actually studying clues, comparing information, and forming conclusions. It's a small addition, but it helps the game feel more purposeful. You're acting like a detective rather than just solving abstract puzzles. The pacing here is intentionally slow. This isn't a game about rushing. It's about methodical exploration. You'll often find yourself moving between rooms, rechecking objects, and thinking about how clues connect. Some players will love this approach. It creates immersion and reinforces the mystery. Others may find it a bit slow, especially if they're expecting faster progression. But the game clearly knows what it wants to be, and it sticks to that vision. One of the most charming elements of Detective from the Crypt is Jane's companion, a ghost cat. This little spectral sidekick adds personality and warmth to what could otherwise be a very somber experience. The cat helps balance the tone, giving you moments of levity while you're exploring darker themes. And honestly, it's hard not to appreciate a game that includes a ghost cat. That alone earns a few bonus Fox points. The setting also deserves attention. The game leans heavily into a Victorian Gothic aesthetic. You'll explore crypts, a mansion, and various eerie locations filled with unusual details. Some rooms feel mysterious, others quirky, and a few are downright strange. This variety helps keep exploration interesting. Even when you're backtracking, there's usually something new to notice. Environmental storytelling plays a role here. Small visual details often hint at what happened. The puzzles themselves are generally logical and tied to the environment. They rarely feel completely random. Instead, they rely on observation and reasoning. You're asked to think about how objects relate to one another, how clues connect, and what might logically happen next. This approach keeps the game grounded in its detective theme. You're solving a mystery, not just moving blocks around. Visually, Detective from the Crypt uses a hand-drawn style that fits its tone well. It's not overly detailed, but it's expressive enough to create atmosphere. Characters are distinct, environments are readable, and the color palette leans into muted tones that reinforce the gothic mood. Sound design is subtle but effective. There's no bombastic soundtrack here. Instead, you get quiet ambient audio that supports exploration. It's the kind of soundscape that fades into the background but enhances immersion. One thing worth mentioning is that this is a relatively short experience. The game is designed as a compact mystery rather than a sprawling adventure. That's not necessarily a negative, it means the pacing stays focused, but it's something to keep in mind. Because of its length, replayability mainly comes from revisiting the story and appreciating the clues you may have missed. It's more of a one-and-done narrative experience than a long-term game. Where the game might struggle for some players is in its pacing. The slower progression and traditional adventure structure can feel dated if you're used to modern, fast-paced titles. There's also a fair amount of backtracking, which is common in point-and-click games but not everyone's favorite. Still, if you enjoy classic adventure design, these elements will feel right at home. Another thing to consider is that the game doesn't rely on action at all. There's no combat, no time pressure, no reflex challenges. Everything is built around thinking and exploring. That makes it perfect for players who enjoy relaxed, story-focused gameplay. But if you're looking for excitement or intensity, you won't find it here. Overall, Detective from the Crypt succeeds by sticking to its strengths. It delivers a focused mystery, a charming supernatural premise, and solid point-and-click gameplay. It doesn't try to reinvent the genre, but it doesn't need to. It's a quiet, thoughtful adventure that rewards patience and curiosity. So Foxpack, time for the final verdict. Detective from the Crypt is a charming gothic mystery that blends classic adventure gameplay with a supernatural detective story. It's slow-paced, atmospheric, and built around investigation rather than action. It may not appeal to everyone, but for fans of point-and-click adventures, it offers a satisfying experience. I'm giving Detective from the Crypt 7 paws out of 10. A solid mystery, a memorable premise, and yes, a ghost cat that definitely earns its keep. Alright Foxpack, that's today's investigation wrapped up. Until next time, stay curious, stay clever, and if you wake up in a crypt, maybe start taking notes.